And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to host the incredible Louisa Luna here to give us the inside scoop on Alice Vega Book 3, Hideout. Louisa, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. As you said, Hideout is the third installment in the Alice Vega series. Vega is a private investigator who specializes in finding missing persons, along with her sometimes partner, Max Kaplan. And in Hideout, she is hired to find a football player who disappeared off the field 35 years ago. And she follows the trail to a small town in Southern Oregon, excuse me, and gets tangled up with a bunch of white nationalist, domestic terrorist types, and she makes a lot of enemies very quickly, which is a thing she does well. So it's about those two things, and they sort of intersect, and it's a mystery in a lot of different ways.
So I cannot wait to get into every single bit of it because I have so many questions. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who is watching. So we're broadcasting live to 6 different locations across Facebook and YouTube. So no matter where you're watching, you're in the right place. This is the right time. If you've been here before, you know how it works. Get your questions going in the comments. If you're new, we are so happy to have you. Welcome. Here's how it works. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Louisa Luna about this Alice Vega character. Ask her about her PI research. Ask her about this book. Anything you're wondering, get it going in the comments. So, Louisa, I will kick off. So what intrigued me about this book is this sort of urban legend of it all. This football star makes this amazing play, but then he just keeps running. Like, what? That's so crazy. And then he's gone for 20 years. So the second part that intrigued me was that it's a cold case. There's something so intriguing about cold cases, about solving the unsolvable. So let's start there. What made you think about a football player who just kept running? Like he just Forrest Gumps his way out of that stadium.
Right.
And then let's talk about the intrigue of cold cases. But first,
right. Okay. Yes. Let's take it in 2 parts. So first of all, the story, and if you've read the dedication, it's a little bit of a hint to this. My father was a teacher for 40 years, and he also, in his spare time, wrote books. And none of them were ever published. But the first book he wrote, the first full-length book he wrote, was in the 80s. It was called Hideout, and the first scene was about a Cal kicker in the big game, Cal versus Stanford, who takes the ball and runs the other way and runs off the field into infamy. And so it was about and his name was Zeb Williams, and it was about his sort of adventures, and he used to tell my brother and I stories about this. So before he died, my dad died a few years ago, I asked him, I said, what do you think if I have Vega and Cap find or look for Zeb Williams? And he was thrilled with that idea. So I knew it was his idea. He was a great storyteller. And so he came up with that character in that beginning. And I thought, it's already a great start. So I just need to sort of take it from there. And yes, cold cases, absolutely. This is pretty fantastical and taking it to sort of the most, the furthest reaches of your imagination, but most missing person cases go unsolved anyway. Most of them are cold. And so I just sort of wrote and wanted to see where the story, would take me and take these characters. And I just used that as a starting point, but it was a really fun starting point for a number of reasons.
So fun. And I love that you wrote this in homage to your dad, picking up the baton and carrying it on for him. What a lovely way to honor him and his life and his legacy. And also, what a fascinating idea to actually take that and then tell it through your characters, through your
Right.
words. And now to have it published, he must be very proud of you, smiling down from
Right. I hope so. Yeah.
looking down from where he is.
Right.
Leecha is saying, hi, ladies. Hi, Leecha. Welcome to the conversation. Leecha is joining us from Texas tonight. So
Hi.
great to have you. So Louisa, how long did it take you to write this book? And she's saying, what a beautiful way to honor your dad.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, it was very special to write that for him. It took me, I'm going to say start to finish, probably about 18 months. Most of my books take me that long. About 18 months. I don't really write, I have a day job, I have a family, I have, other things that I do. This was also during the pandemic, so, there was that going on. So I don't really have like a 6-hour block of time where I write. I write a little bit every day. So it took me a while, and it was challenging in the pandemic, because this was, I was sort of just getting started with it right when it hit, and no one really knew what was going on, and so it was just hard to find focus to do it. But again, lucky I was to have a contract to be able to write and sort of see this story out. So it did take me that long. It may have taken a little less if certain circumstances had, not not existed the way they did. But yes, it took about that long.
I am still struggling with concentration. The pandemic has
Yeah,
made
it
that
doesn't. It's
very
not
hard.
over. Yeah, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Nisa is saying, hello, Sarah and Louisa. She is so excited to hear about this book. Anissa, as a bookstagrammer extraordinaire, book reviewer, does a lot of big things with friends in fiction. Anissa, always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Sharon saying hi from Minnesota. Sharon, always a pleasure to have you here, ma'am. Thank you so much. Melissa saying good day, Sarah and Louisa from Australia. Melissa, welcome to the conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anybody's anything. Let us know what questions you have for Louisa. And while you're taking a moment to type them, I will kick off. So Publishers Weekly calls this book exhilarating. Vega's PI partner, Max Kaplan, lends support, but it is the no-nonsense Vega who carries the day. Readers will want to see a lot more of this kick-butt hero. So let's talk about that, Louisa. What do you think it is about Vega that makes her such a character that people want to champion? Why do we care about this character? Why is she compelling? Why do we want to root for her?
Well, I think ultimately, she doesn't have I think if you asked her, she wouldn't say she had a particular agenda. Her agenda is to sort of solve the cases that she solves. But I think if over the course of these 3 books, there is a story there and a through line of Vega leaning towards carrying out some sort of justice and meting out the justice to the, whether that's people who have wronged others, or in order to find victims and help victims. So I think she always leans that way. And of course, we want to root for those heroes as opposed to people doing the opposite. And then she's also very nonchalant about, beating people up and, really kicking the crap out of people when she So that's helpful. And people, I think it's surprising that a woman takes that role. Obviously, there's a lot of great female detectives and cops in fiction, and and investigators. But I wanted to sort of continue that legacy with her, and it's always it's fun and surprising, to see that. With a woman, with a female. So one of my challenges, and this leads to other things, but is making that realistic, her being
Uh-huh.
a woman, and making her physically, capable. But her biggest advantage is the element of surprise, I think, and she's got that, and she's smart, so she can sort of gauge when to use that to her advantage the most.
I love that. Love to see a woman kicking a butt. Leisha would like to know, what year did the football player disappear, and did he play in high school or in college?
Good question. He played. It is in the 1984 Cal Stanford big game, of my fantasy, of like my fiction. So um, he was in college. And so this is a big rivalry game. So it got a lot of media attention. This is the story. This is the story that my dad wrote and that I sort of picked up. Um, so he disappeared in 84. And so Vega is looking for him, around now ish. And yes, he played for Cal Berkeley.
Anissa, thank you so much for the great question there, Leisha. Always appreciate you. Anissa would like to know, she said, you have written series and standalones. Do you prefer writing one or the other? And if yes, why? Great question, Anissa.
It is. I wrote the standalones a very long time ago, very early on in my career. So I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think back. However, I will say that they're both for different reasons. I love them both. There's something really fresh and fantastic about starting a new story with new characters, and just thinking about this one story. Even from the first book, from Two Girls Down, I was thinking of these characters moving through various stages of their relationship with each other, and their sort of development as characters, and different sort of adventures they could go on. So that is definitely a fun thing to think about, but it almost needs to have a little more planning, a little more thought, a little more attention to it. And standalones, I feel they're a little freer. So I do like them both. They're just a sort of a different thing. It is fun though. It has been fun to come back to Vega and Cap. And it's like, oh, as a writer, you do a lot of work to get to know your characters, and then but I already know these guys. So it's like I can just pick this story up and take it wherever. So that's nice as well. I will have to say both. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but it's true.
I don't think it's a cop out. I think there's pros and cons of everything, right? And so it's
Right.
nice to look at the whole picture. But Anissa, that actually gives us a really great lead into something that I think Louisa would like to talk about. Louisa, can this book, so Hideout, the third in your Alice Vega series, can it be read by itself? Can someone jump right into this, or should they read Alice Vega book 1 and 2 first?
Um, so both answers, yes to both. You could definitely pick up Hideout, I think, and really get a lot out of it and be entertained. Um, One of my favorite all-time series, the Jack Cafferty and Flea series by Mo Hader. I started that in book 3. I don't know why that book came to me first, and I fell in love with it and went back and read, the backlist, and then kept reading on. So I certainly, you could certainly just pick it up. I do think you might have a somewhat richer experience with these two characters uh,
Mm.
when you know their history a little bit more. In terms of the plot, this plot is very contained within this book. So you don't need to, read the first two to pick up any strands of the plot. But just in terms of their relationship with each other, Vega and Cap's relationship with his daughter, and characters that you've seen before that make appearances, there is a nice fluidity to it if you've read them all, but not necessary. Whatever you feel like doing. However you would like to read my books, please read them. It
Yay.
does not matter to me.
So Alice, I'm putting these in the comments. I'm putting links
Great.
to each of the books in the comments. So so Alice Vega novel number 1 was Two Girls Down, and
Right.
here's the link to that. And then Alice Vega number 2 was The Janes,
Yes.
also available. So I'm going to pop the link into that, and that is The Janes, book number 2. And
Right.
then now we are on. So for those who want to read in order, because I know some people do, and some people just want to jump right into the latest and greatest, then read
Sure.
the backlist. So
Sure.
for those who want to read in order, here's book number 1, Two Girls Down. And now I'm popping into the link, book number 2, which is The Janes. That's Alice Vega, book number 2. And then for all of us fans, here is the latest Alice Vega book, number 3, which is Hideout. So here is the book, and you're going to want to order it today, y'all. So go ahead and grab it. Grab it right now. So here is all 3 in order for those of us who like order, and I know I'm one of them. So here we go. Here is the latest Hideout. So all 3 links are in there for everybody who would like to check those out. Lecha says, thank you so much for answering her questions.
Of course.
Lecha, thank you so much
My
for being
pleasure.
here. Melissa saying that her 14-year-old niece loves Alice. She loved Two Girls Down, and now she must get your new one.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I read a lot of books, a lot of adult type books when I was 14, 13 and 14. So I'm right there with you. My daughter is 11, and I told her she has to wait till she's about 13 to read my books. And she's keeping tabs. She's ready. She's like, all right, I'm almost there.
It's so great, Melissa, that your 14-year-old niece at such a tender age. I remember being 14, and it was not it was not always easy to be 14. To look up and see this kick butt woman, strong female lead, out there taking names and kicking butt, and being a strong female private investigator. That must be so great for her to have, that female heroine to look up to. Ooh, good question here. Okay, Anissa is saying, what a perfect answer to the standalone versus series
Oh,
question that she asked. She said, thank you so
true.
much.
Thank you.
Leisha would like to know, are any of your books based on true cold case stories?
Oh, no. All my books are fiction. They're all fiction. I don't do a lot of research. I read a few books as sort of inspiration to kind of get going. So sometimes I'll pull an element here or there from something that I hear about, but they really are, or from the news, current events. But they're all very much fiction. But that said, a lot of cold cases have things in common, and so I think that sometimes I draw on those. But no, they're definitely all fiction, all made up so
So
far.
what do the cold cases have in common that finds them their way, that finds threads or roots into your answer?
You know, well, this is
Your
Hideout
writing.
is the right. Hideout is the only one that really gets into the cold case form many times. There is a sort of a tiny subplot in Two Girls Down, where a character uh, who was a vulnerable adult had disappeared. This was just one of Cap and Vega's many witness interviews. They also came across this. They learned of this man who just sort of disappeared, who was a vulnerable adult and had schizophrenia and had just wandered off. I read about that kind of thing a lot because vulnerable adults don't get the same kind of attention that cute little kids do, for better or for worse. So I think there are a lot of missing persons who are adults or even older people, who go missing and who there's just not a lot of attention around, and all of these, so much of it remains unsolved. You know, I watched your interview with Julia Dahl, you know, the excellent fiction
Missing
writer and
Hours.
former crime reporter, and she was echoing that, just how large numbers of cases go unsolved. You know, they just it is the way it goes, very tragically, you know. So I more incorporated those sorts of threads into it. It hasn't been the main focus of one of my books yet, but maybe it will be. I don't know.
Yeah, that was, first of all, I love Julia Dahl, loved
Love her,
Missing
love her,
Hours.
love her.
She's fantastic, but
Yeah.
it is fascinating. I was actually shocked to learn that 30% of murder cases in the United States today, with even with all of our technology, all of our sophistication, all of our DNA, all of our science, everything, 30% go unsolved. And Julia actually was the one who let me know it can be as high as 40 to 45% in urban areas like Houston, where the population is predominantly people of color. So those cases get less attention, and therefore the solve rate goes down. I was shocked, horrified, and extremely surprised to learn. I mean, 40 to 45% in the United States. Are you kidding?
Right. It sounds like a statistic from another country. It sounds like something we would hear in another country. But I mean, yes, it sounds it's horrifying.
So it's interesting to start to dig into, whether fiction or nonfiction, to dig into these, you know, cases again with adults and not. So I'm excited and I'm happy that you're addressing that. So thank you. Melissa saying Alice is a strong woman and a great role model in a way for her 14-year-old niece. Yes, Melissa, thank you for letting us know. Barbara, welcome to the conversation, saying quite a story full of fun and adventure. I loved it. I love your characters. Barbara from North Carolina, thank you for joining the conversation, for chiming in and letting us know. This is so great. So glad to hear that you enjoyed it. I'm just going through, making sure I didn't miss anything. Louisa, you also earned an incredible review from the king himself, Lee Child. Congratulations. He says Alice Vega is sensational. I want to see lots more of her. Lee was on the show in November for his latest book, his latest Reacher, and he is a rollicking good time. I love that guy.
He is unstoppable. You know, I think he's one of those guys who's going to be, you know, just writing until the last possible moment he can write. Like, he just keeps going.
He just keeps going. And you know what keeps him going? 35 cups of coffee a day. 35.
Is that real?
No, 35. His publicist told me. And
that's a lot. I mean, I really, really like coffee, but that's a lot.
His brother drinks more. He drinks 38.
What does his brother do for a living?
They know his co-writing partner.
His co-writing partner.
His brother and his co-writer. Yeah, so they're probably just are freelining it, just mainlining the coffee.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of coffee. Yeah,
a lot of coffee.
I don't. I mean, I have like 2 or 3. You know, I don't. But 35. I don't know how many. Yeah, I don't know.
My hands are shaking with 2 or 3.
I don't know how I would do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And he said his Lee shared that his diet consists of the 3 C's: coffee, cigarettes, and cannabis. So that's why, Lee has some.
I mean, I appreciate that honesty. That's really something.
Yeah, I appreciate his honesty.
I appreciate your C for candor. But
oh my gosh, I see what you put there, Louisa.
I mean, you know, mine are like coffee, Nutella. You know, and sometimes I have a salad, you know, just a little more, sometimes boring.
I have a salad.
A little more boring. Yeah, I like a salad for lunch.
I love that.
Yes, wow, that's impressive. But yes, he was very generous with his blurb. And he read Two Girls Down right before anyone did, and it was just sort of this wonderful thing that, you know, came out of nowhere. So I am forever in his debt.
Wow. And when you got that, walk us through the moment. Did you scream? Did you run around the neighborhood? I mean, did you tattoo it on your chest?
I was on the subway and I opened the email from my editor and I just looked at it and I was just like, just sort of out of just really shocked and started pacing back and forth and talking to myself. And this is not a I live in New York, so this is seeing people talking to themselves screaming at their phones. This is not an unusual thing to
Oh my
see.
gosh.
Yeah, so not too big a deal.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. So Alicia is saying that all girls should read your Alice Vega books. Absolutely,
Oh,
Alicia. I totally agree.
when they're of an appropriate age.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I bet your
Slightly appropriate. I don't know, teenager maybe. Yeah, just yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a
Louisa,
lot of curse words and violence and stuff like that. So
maybe your daughter is sneaking it. Did that
she
ever occur
might
to
be.
you?
She might be. She
Yeah.
might be.
I want to share the incredible starred review that you also earned from Booklist. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm just going to pop this up a second because otherwise it's covering us. Saying Vega returns with a fury that singes the corners off the pages. This is the third Alice Vega novel, and they just keep getting better thanks to brilliant characterizations and lots of surprises. Jack Reacher fans will adore her. The vengeful Alice is intriguing as the bride in Kill Bill. Viva la Vega! So congratulations, starred review from Booklist, praise upon praise upon praise. So let's talk about how the heck you singe the corners off the pages, Louisa Luna. How do you do it?
Well, for this one, I love a good cathartic revenge story, and I think a lot of people do. Like the Count of Monte Cristo, like we just love to see someone come back, after they're down. And I won't give any spoilers to Hideout, but Vega does sort of retreat for a while. Hashtag goals. That's funny. She retreats for a while before coming back to the Oregon town. And, so I will say that those scenes are just super fun to write when I get to the point where, she's exacting revenge on people who deserve it. Where her own brand of karma, like that, it's really fun to write. And I think everyone can, I don't know, again, I love watching those kinds of things. I love reading those kinds of things when the people who deserve it get what they deserve. I think this is a thing that doesn't happen a lot in real life, or doesn't seem to. And so when we can get it in our stories and our fiction, it's just delightful.
So it's the satisfaction that you think resonates with people. It's being able to live vicariously through someone else, getting justice, kicking butt, which we cannot do in the course of our normal lives. Okay.
Usually not. You're right. Right. Yeah. Usually there may be repercussions, if we started to do this. But yes.
Anissa's saying she's not a coffee drinker, but J for jelly beans and R for Reese's Big Cups. Okay, so Anissa's diet consists of J, R, and then what's your third? Because Lee gave us the 3 C's. What's your third thing, Anissa? That's hilarious. And I love jelly beans and Reese's peanut butter cups, so I'm right there with you.
I'm pretty big with Reese's cups too.
Leach is saying your books sound like great page turners. Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about this other amazing review. Red Carpet Crash saying the third novel in the Alice Vega series is another thrilling ride from start to end. Fans will eat this book up. So Louisa, 3 books into the Alice series, and also having written standalones, you're a practiced writer. What do you think your secrets are, your top tips are to singeing those corners off the page, to keeping those pages turning as these reviews are saying?
The only thing I can say is that in order, even though I write sort of, I want readers to keep reading to the end. I want them to be held by the suspense that'll take them to the end. But I think in order to do that, and this goes beyond suspense or mystery or thriller novels, I think in any kind of writing, probably in any kind of narrative art form, you're trying to build suspense in these short moments, in these scenes, in these pieces of dialogue. You're stacking them up, like Legos, and you're to make the final piece. And so in each scene, I'm trying to have sort of a push and a pull, and some kind of energy that's happening that is propelling the action forward. And so that is the only secret I can tell you, is that, if you're writing, focus on like the smallest little piece, and make that one scene about, sort of a tug of war. And it doesn't always have to be an aggressive fight. It can be just like little tiny words of dialogue. It could be a husband and wife, who aren't getting along, but they're saying, nice things to each other, but they're really not being nice. Like it can be anything. So yes, I would say short micro pieces of suspense will take you, and you put enough of those together and then you get a book.
Ooh, that's interesting. So the idea of short micro scenes of suspense, that's a really interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Has that always been your goal, or has that been evolving for you? Because as this blurb is saying, you keep getting better. So how are you evolving yourself as a writer?
It definitely was something that I was honing with Two Girls Down, because I was seeing that, like, going through the motions of procedural, where people are, you're interviewing witnesses, you're gathering clues. Every scene is not going to be a shootout. Every scene is not going to be a huge climax moment. So you have to build the suspense in other ways, and give the reader like a little reward in every scene, not to, pull one over on them, but just to say, you keep reading, you're going to be glad you did. So it is definitely something that takes some time to practice. And and sometimes when I'm writing the scene, I don't know what that will be. Obviously it fleshes itself out as I'm going. And so I have to almost wait till I'm near the end, or to a rewrite stage where I'm like, oh, this is sort of the crest of the wave in this scene. Now I kind of see it. I have to step back a little bit, to see the full picture of it, to see all the Legos.
I like that. Leisha's saying she is adding these books to her TBR. Excellent, Leisha. Anissa saying her third is W for water. I love that. You're probably way healthier than
I'm hot. Yes, hydration is key. Yes.
Anissa would like to know, how many Alice books do you hope to write?
I mean, I will write as many as people want to read, within reason. But like I'm up for it. Right now I'm actually working on a standalone, because I just needed a little bit of a break from Vega. They're very dense, I think in a good way, but I think the plots are dense, and the characters are dense. And so I needed to get out of Vega world for a while. So I'm playing around with some other things right now. After that, however, I'm totally open to whatever. And again, if there is an appetite for it, if people want to keep reading them I will, of course, I would love to come up with more stuff for Vega and Cap to do.
Yay. Melissa's saying hers are coffee, Vegemite, and she agrees with you, Louisa, a salad.
A nice crisp salad.
A nice
coffee. Sure. I've actually never had Vegemite.
I was going to say, have you had it? So I used to live
in but I know that it's sort of, is it like bouillon? Is it like a bouillon kind of flavor?
It's yeasty. It's super salty and super yeasty. So it's a black paste. I used to live in Australia. I lived in Brisbane. And it should be spread on toast, with just in a tiny, thin little layer. That was not how the Australians gave it to me. They gave me a big tablespoonful, and and that was not the way you should be eating Vegemite. But I always keep Vegemite in the house because my Australians come and visit me, and I've got to have the Vegemite for them.
Right. There you go. You're ready.
Anissa's giving us all the hearts. Anissa, thank you so much for tuning in. Melissa saying, yes, salty. It's yum. Toast and butter. Delicious. And if you're feeling under the weather, they will eat it medicinally. So a little Vegemite will set you right. That's what they say. A little Vegemite will set you right.
It's like a bunch of garlic in your pasta.
Exactly.
You're out the pores. Yes.
Exactly. And I do the garlic.
Yeah, totally.
So, Louisa, congratulations on getting a shout out from, the New York Times this week. Amazing, from none other than Sarah Weinman, Queen crime connoisseur herself, who was, of course, on the show with us just a few weeks ago for the pre-launch event of her book, Scoundrel, which is delicious. But Sarah raving that Luna takes the usual private eye tropes and imbues them with added resonance. Vega is an excellent investigator who doesn't bounce back right away from physical harm, and her relationship with Cap earns its complexity. I know I'll be reading more of the series, and you should too. Sarah Weinman from the New York Times Book Review. Louisa Luna, congratulations.
Thank you. It was very special. And yes, she is a total pro, and I'm really honored to have her mention it, and the fact that she read it was great. Yes, exciting, very exciting.
So exciting! I would scream. I would be so happy. Congratulations, Louisa! I mean, what a huge moment. Sarah Weinman is such a beautiful writer in her own right.
Yes,
so to have these words of praise, on your baby, Louisa. Yay!
Yes, I will. I may get them engraved somewhere. I don't know. On a vase. I don't know.
Dude, right here.
Yep. Just right across here. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Or, just put it on your card. Just hand it out to people.
Yeah. No, it was wonderful. I mean, look, it's to be able to get paid to write books is a great honor anyway. It's a great, I already feel like I've won in so many ways, but to have it recognized by someone, I respect or by, fans I don't know, or by anyone, is really wonderful. It makes my day, and it really does make me feel like, like I'm doing this for a reason. Like, this is great. But it's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. All right, y'all. I just want to remind you to order the book today, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send it out to you tomorrow so that you too can grab Alice Vega #3, Hideout. You will love this book. You will love Alice. So grab it today. I'm putting the link in the comments. You go ahead and grab it, and then join the Facebook group where all the good tea is spilled, so we can continue the conversation about Hideout and all the great books you're reading. So I'll pop that in the comments as well. Y'all, I want to thank you so much for joining us, for spending your #Mystery Monday with us, because Mondays can be murder. And Louisa Luna, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Oh, Leach has one more question. She said she loves the cover. Louisa, you want to talk about the cover?
Yes. I mean, I cannot take credit for it. That is the Doubleday team. That is John Fontana and his team, at Doubleday. But I also love it. I love the moody blue, and it came out so much more perfect than I could have imagined. So yes, I am with you. I also love the cover.
Yay. Well, what a perfect note to end on. Anissa saying, thank you, ladies. Very interesting chat as always. Anissa, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. Y'all, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to order the book, join the Facebook group to continue the conversation, and I will see you next Monday for #Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder. Have a great week.
Thank you.